Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney Brian D. Lerner. In this particular episode, I'm going to answer essentially what one of my viewers wanted to know. Last week, a viewer said, "Can you make a video on what happens when you're already deported? How can you get back to the U.S., or is it possible to get back to the U.S.?" And well, typically the answer is yes, really depending on the situation. It is possible. There is no reason to think that once you would be deported, that is the end of the road, that you can never come back to the U.S., that it's hopeless, that your family, if you have family here in the U.S., stays here, you stay over in whatever country you were deported, and that you are stuck in a land which maybe you haven't been for 20, 30, 40 years, whatever it is, without any possibility of coming back. So let's go through it. Let's discuss the possibilities of what's needed. Now, first, what you have to realize is you cannot come back illegally, just cross over the border a second time after being in the U.S. illegally or unlawfully for over a year. If you do that, you will ruin everything. You will then fall under another area of law which says you are permanently inadmissible and that you can't even apply for a waiver of that permanent inadmissibility for 10 years. Now what does all that mean? Okay, what it means is you try entering again illegally, your shots of getting back here are down the toilet. Okay, that's really what it means. So you have to stay in your home country while we are working on getting you back. And yes, it does take some time, but if it's done properly and if it ultimately gets approved, then you will be able to come back. And the year to a year and a half or whatever it takes to have it go through will be well worth it if you wait the time. Because once you come back in, maybe as a lawful permanent resident, then you will look back at that year and a half as not being the funnest year and a half in your life, but at least you will be able to move forward after that, and eventually you may even be able to become a U.S. citizen. So let me go through some of the scenarios so you know what the possibilities are, with the understanding that nothing is easy. Immigration is usually an uphill battle, but that's what I do. Okay, we prepare the best waivers, petitions, whatever needs to be done to give you a very reasonable chance of success. Now let's start with a relatively easy case. Let's say that you were here unlawfully and you overstayed your visa, okay, for years, whatever it is, and immigration, for whatever reason, comes to your place of work, comes to where you live, you were at the wrong place at the wrong time, you had a broken tail light, whatever it is, they ultimately end up coming to you and they hand you a piece of paper and they say, you don't have any chance. You're going to, if you fight this, you're going to be in detention for the next 25 years. Look at everybody around you. Go ahead and just sign this paper and everything will be fine. And let's say you sign. Well, by doing that, essentially what you are doing is you are signing, really what you're doing is you're signing a voluntary deportation, okay? And then, of course, they put you on a plane, they put you on a train, they put you on a bus, whatever they do, and they send you outside the country, and now you have a deportation order against you. And normally, a deportation order has a bar of at least 10 years before you can come back to the U.S. So first things first, how do you get rid of that 10-year bar? Because assuming that you want to get back before the 10 years, which is likely the case, you have to do something. So they have what's called a permission to re-entry, or a permission to re-enter the United States. Now what is that? Well, that is specifically for persons who have deportation orders. Now, we're not talking about any other grounds of inadmissibility here. You have to separate it because each problem that you have as to why you might have been deported, there's another different solution to try to get around that. This that I'm talking about now is if you have only a deportation order, or for that matter, if you have a deportation order and other matters, you still need to do the permission to re-enter. Now, the permission to re-enter will apply only as to the deportation order. So what is it? Well, when my office puts together a permission to re-enter, it's the attorney cover letter, declarations, affidavits, all kinds of exhibits, very often a psychological report on the hardships and so forth. And it shows essentially you have the bad stuff on this side. I mean, it's really a scale. You have the bad stuff on this side, and you have the good stuff on this side. And so you can't see my hands. Here we go. Okay, bad stuff, good stuff. Okay, and so what that does is, we minimize the bad stuff. You were in the country unlawfully for X number of years. Okay, so that's that. Now the good stuff. There's all kinds of degrees of what we try to show as being positive equities. How many years you lived in the United States, the family members you have, the volunteering you did, the contributions you have, the good moral character you might have, the hardship of the family member should you not be allowed back for 10 years, and it goes on. Okay, and so once we put that all together, that permission to re-enter, we send it in to the appropriate government official. The appropriate government official then will rule on it. Okay, and it does take about 6 months. Sometimes it takes as long as a year. Sometimes it takes as short as 3 months. But it takes on average about 6 months after it's filed to get the answer on the permission to re-enter. Now, let's say, and that's the hope, is that it's approved. What that means is now you no longer have a 10-year deportation bar because of the deportation order. Now, it doesn't mean that you can, once you get the approval, that you can walk to the nearest border point and say, look, I have an approval of a permission to re-enter, and now I'm entering. You can't do that. There still needs to be a legal way to enter, whether it's through employment, whether it's through family, or whether it's through some other manner. But what it does is you're not going to be stopped now because you have a deportation. It doesn't exactly erase the deportation, but what it does is it essentially waives the deportation bar. And by that, I mean they no longer will bar you from re-entering the United States should you have some legal way to come in because of the deportation. So that's the first thing. Okay, so let's go to the next scenario so that you can understand more of how you can come back into the United States after a deportation. Now, let's say that you were also deported, which is many times the case, because you committed a crime. You might have even fought the case in immigration court. Let's say you committed a crime, you served the time, and then you were transferred to immigration detention. And then from there, you didn't sign the please deport me paper when the ICE officials came up to you. Let's say you fought your case, and in the end, the judge ruled against you and ordered you to be deported, and sure enough, you were deported. So now you have a couple grounds that you have been deported on. One, let's say you overstayed your visa, and two, let's say you committed a crime. Okay, and there's variations on this. You might have even had your green card at the time and committed a crime and then been deported and lost your green card. So, there's different variations, but let's now concentrate on the crime. How can you get back into the U.S., assuming you've done the permission to re-enter and it's been approved like we've talked about? How can you still come back in the U.S. even though you had the crime? Well, there's different ways to go about this. Many times the crime will have occurred many years ago, but you had a broken tail light, and again, wrong place, wrong time, and you end up in deportation proceedings. Okay, because of that, what will happen is the crime, even though you may have, a lot of people think, well, you did the crime, you served the time in jail, and now it's double jeopardy because now you're being punished again for it, and that's not true. Okay, because you're not a U.S. citizen, the immigration laws specifically state that if you can commit a crime that makes you inadmissible, you can be put in removal proceedings and you can be deported. So you're not being, there's no double jeopardy here. So what happens is that you will be able to try to go back, and when I say you, I mean get an attorney who knows what they're doing. I mean, I do criminal relief all the time. So you definitely want to get an immigration attorney who is familiar with what is needed on a criminal relief, and that's what I'm talking about here. We go back to the criminal court. We try to vacate and or reduce the crime so that a couple things happen. One, that you're not considered an aggravated felon, because a lot of the crimes that you might commit will make you an aggravated felon under immigration laws. Okay, I can't tell you how many people say, well, it was only a misdemeanor. It doesn't matter. The definition of whatever you committed, if it falls under immigration law, on the particular definition of an aggravated felony, then you're an aggravated felon under immigration law. Okay, and I mean, to give you an example, let's say that you have a misdemeanor for possession and sales of 1 gram of cocaine. Well, that makes you an aggravated felon because it wasn't just simple possession. Or let's say there was sexual abuse of a minor. That may be a misdemeanor in your jurisdiction, but it's definitely an aggravated felony under immigration law. So what we would do is look at the crime, find out what category you might be under in immigration law, whether you're an aggravated felon or not, find out why it makes you inadmissible, and then go back to the criminal court and try to reduce or vacate it to then open the doors for immigration. So let me give you an example. Let's say you had a burglary crime and you had a sentence of 16 months. Well, the fact that you had a burglary crime with a sentence of over a year makes you an aggravated felon, thereby ineligible to be petitioned by family members, employers, and so forth. So what we do is we go back to court and we try to reduce the sentence to 364 days. Even though you've already served it, even though you've been deported and so forth, we can show for various reasons why that should be done. And if successful, then yes, you still have a crime, but you're no longer an aggravated felon, and now the doors are open in immigration to be able to be petitioned by various family members and then do a criminal waiver to immigration in the hopes to show the hardship to the U.S. family members to come in. Okay, so and there's different things we can do. I mean, let's say that you do have a drug crime, possession for sales or possession for manufacturing or trafficking. We can't reduce that because that's an aggravated felon, no matter how small the amount of the drugs were. So what we can do is we can show, hopefully, through various cases, that when you were given the plea bargain, which 99% of the people who walked through my door did not have a trial, they pled. So you were given a plea bargain, but you weren't given the real consequences of what it is you're pleading to. Okay, nobody said, look, well, yes, you may get a lower sentence in jail, and this is the best you can get, but once you're done, you're going to be considered an aggravated felon in immigration law. You will be deported the rest of your life. You'll have no chance of coming back. And if you do, you could be put in federal prison for up to 20 years and then deported again. Nobody said that. If they said that to you, chances are likely you might have thought twice about pleading guilty. Okay? Especially if you have a spouse and children waiting for you on the other side. So that's the second thing to do criminal relief. So we do the permission to re-enter. We do the criminal relief if we need to. And then there's other things that can be done as well. Depending, each case is a little different, which is why I'm just giving you examples. But let's say you have a U.S. citizen wife or a son or daughter over 21 or some family member that's able to petition you. We do the family petition. And once the family petition, the visa number becomes current. In order to consular process through the United States, you do the waiver, okay? And whether it's a criminal waiver, a fraud waiver, a medical waiver, whatever it happens to be, we do the waiver. And again, a waiver is a whole package that I put together: attorney cover letter, declarations, affidavits, evidence, psychological report, psychiatric report if necessary, a history of medication, all kinds of stuff. Economic analysis, medical analysis if the U.S. citizen stays apart from you and the hardship that would cause, analysis if the U.S. citizen moves to your home country and has to leave the United States, all kinds of stuff. And so we put that whole waiver together along with the visa petition, along with the permission to re-enter, and all of that gives the basis to come back in the country. Now, yes, a lot of work, yes, different petitions, but it's all doable, okay? Let me just say that some people say, do you guarantee success that I'll come back? Well, I can't guarantee it. Any immigration lawyer who does is lying to you, or they don't know what they're doing, okay? The fact is that you're going to have different people in different governmental organizations making decisions on these different petitions, which is the very reason you need someone who really knows what they're doing, because it can't be guaranteed. So you want the strongest possible petition that can go forward. Okay? So give me a call, email me, make an appointment. You can do all this online. I have different offices. Also, click like if you like these videos. And also, if you want another video on a different subject, go ahead and ask me. It's kind of fun for me to make, different videos specifically on questions or what issues people have.